Welcome to the WP Builds podcast, bringing you the latest news from the WordPress community. Now, welcome your hosts, David Wormsley and Nathan Wrigley.
Hello there and welcome to this episode number 254 of the WP Builds podcast, entitled Automatic Content Creation with Bertha.ai. It was published on Thursday, the 11th of November 2021. My name's Nathan Wrigley and I'll be joined by my guests in just a few moments, but as always, a tiny bit of housekeeping before we begin. If you are in the market this year for some Black Friday deals, well, we know that they're all around the corner. Very soon we will be deluged by emails, and perhaps you are already. But if on the WordPress side of things you want to take a break from all that and just have one place where you can go and look and search and filter, we've got loads of deals on our Black Friday page. It's wpbuilds.com/black. I'll say that once more, wpbuilds.com/black. And as I say, it's a searchable, filterable list of the deals which we have found thus far. If you're a product owner and you'd like your deal to be on there, there is a Add Your Deal button on that page. So go ahead, fill that in. It's completely free and we'll endeavour to get that on the page for you. So once more, wpbuilds.com/black. Okay, on the podcast today, we have Andrew Palmer and Vito Peleg. They've got a new plugin for WordPress called Bertha.ai. What does it do? Well, it helps you to write. It's using AI, or in this case, to be more specific, GPT-3, to assist you with your writing process. So the idea here really is that if you're stuck and you're short of ideas and you would like some help with that, rather than turning to a colleague or a trusted friend, or indeed just staring at a blank screen, you give Bertha some information about what it is that you want to write about, and it gives you more text back in return. It's really clever. I must admit that I am constantly amazed by what AI can achieve. And as we go through the podcast today, you'll be able to get a hint of some of that. So I hope you enjoy the podcast. Hello there, welcome once again to the WP Builds podcast. We've got an interview for you today, two gentlemen that I'm sure you've heard of before. We have, in no particular order, we have Andrew Peleg and Vito Palmer. Welcome, guys.
How are you?
How funny are you? Yeah, a poor attempt at humour. It is, of course, Vito Peleg and Andrew Palmer. They're joining us today on the podcast to talk about a brand new topic. But Andrew, first of all, how are you doing, mate?
I'm doing okay. I've just come back from Spain from a golf trip, and I'm recovering from that. But I also think I might have COVID. But you know, I've got to test again. I've been clear the last 3 days, including yesterday. But I'm just not. If I'm not answering questions too quickly, I'm just not very well.
I did say to Andrew,
from that, everything's good.
Yeah, I did say to Andrew before we recorded, should we do this another day? But he was keen to soldier on. But let's hope you get through to the end. And Vito, how are you doing?
I'm good. Andrew brought me as reinforcement if he can't, if he's lagging with his answers.
Yeah. Well, the reason that we've got you on the podcast today is because of a new WordPress plugin that you guys have got out. First of all, I would recommend that if you don't know what we're talking about, that you pause the podcast and go to the Bertha.ai website. It's spelt as you would imagine, BERTHA.AI. I didn't even know that .ai was as a domain name, but there you go. Yeah. And I don't care who answers the questions. You know, if both of you want to interrupt and have a bit of a bun fight, that's completely fine by me. So I'm just going to ask them and hope that one of you decides I'll take that one. And the first one is, what on earth is it? What is Bertha.ai? What's it all about?
Oh, Vito can answer that.
Okay, so Bertha is a plugin that helps you generate content within your WordPress website. The idea is to systemize and automate a lot of the thinking process when it comes to facing a blank, blank page. We say in the physical world, but basically a blank web page. When you need to generate some ideas for content and get the ball rolling. So Bertha uses the latest AI technology to give you ideas based on just a couple of lines of text that you can write in your own words describing what you're trying to do. And then it's just going to give you a bunch of ideas that you can pick from and edit and, just make them your own.
So the intention really is to cut down the time it takes for you to think of things and make a start. It's kind of like it's a bit of a way of getting rid of writer's block and get you underway. Is that kind of summing it up?
I would even call it
Yeah.
like a writer assistant.
Okay.
So a lot of things we when we're writing copy, we outsource to VAs or we outsource to or we just do the research ourselves and spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to approach this, what would be the right messaging, as well as just the thinking process or even the unknown of what I don't know. So especially the idea came specifically when I saw this new AI technology, and I was thinking about this with implementation into Atarim, into the platform that I have that helps web agencies collaborate with their clients. Since generating content or getting clients to give you the content is always a pain in the ass, right? So the idea was like, let's just help them help the agency by leveraging AI. And then as we're starting building this, it just became very apparent that it's not just for web agencies. Everyone can get a whole bunch of benefit out of a tool like that being there always. And so I reached out to Andrew and we started working on it.
The curious thing is you've kind of struck up a really nice friendship over the last few years, and obviously Vito, you just mentioned that you've got WP Feedback, which is now Atarim, of course, and Andrew Palmer, you've had Elegant Marketplace and Page Builder Cloud. So you've both been busy in the WordPress space, but not necessarily in anything like this, particularly content creation and certainly AI. So I'm wondering how it is that you decided to build this. What was the sort of the moment where you both looked at each other and went, there might be something in this?
Well, I think basically I was looking at other AI solutions out there, and there's a few. There is one WordPress one, but it uses a block, and that blocked the way, if you like, for want of not a pun. And the other ones are SaaS solutions, and you have to log in, and then you got problems copying and pasting and all that kind of thing. And they're fairly complex. With Bertha, the way that we've trained Bertha is that through building literally a few thousand websites to get as two individuals, we kind of know what kind of content that people want. You want a USP, you want a subheading, you want a section title, blurb generator, and all that kind of stuff. So what we've done for the normal user, let's say the business owner that really is in a fug and doesn't know how to create content, let's not forget that Atarim was built for customers to be able to get the content to the web developer. So going down the content road, I was kind of thinking, well, yeah, this is a great idea because we're all suffering as web developers and web designers from content. Now imagine if we can get customers to use Bertha to generate the content, because you can say, right, okay, what's my company about? And there's a little paragraph description that you can put in the setting up wizard. And then you can go in and say, okay, well, Bertha, think of unique value propositions for me. And then I want website headings, and I want a section title generator, or I want a blog post outline. And from those things, specifically the blog post outline is really powerful because it gives you maybe 5 or 6 subject lines, which then you can put into the intro paragraph, each one individually, and then that will write paragraphs for each section, if you like, or for your outline. And then you've got a conclusion paragraph as well. So that's the blog post bit sorted, but also we've got an About Us creation system as well, and you can basically build your homepage out on that. Product descriptions, title to benefit section, service product benefit list. There's a whole thing. And also, if you don't like it, we've also got a content rephraser as well. So if you think, oh, well, I've come up with 4 options or 10 options or whatever it is, and I don't like those, maybe I'll have a look at the content rephraser as well and just rephrase it in a different way. And because it's AI, every single word is unique. You're not going to suffer from plagiarism issues or anything like that. Every paragraph that it produces is going to be unique because it thinks about it and then writes it.
Okay.
So
Nathan, do
pretty
you
cool.
know how the AI works? Do you know how
Well,
these tools work?
I was going to come to that a little bit later, if that's all right. I'm going to ask for an explanation of how it all works and what is the go-between, where does it
really
go to get the text. Just going to stick on the sort of WordPress side of things. You mentioned that obviously it can create this text. I'm curious to know where that's happening. Obviously, at the moment, we've got a whole different array of things where you can create your content, be that a Gutenberg, the block editor, or a page builder you might be using, or you might be stuck in the tiny MCE classic editor. I'm just wondering how you actually interact with this. How does it work? What does it work with? Are there any page builders that you have created links to and other ones that don't work, and so on?
So the way we kind of structured it was taking inspiration from Grammarly, which I'm sure you know of, right? So it kind of like with Grammarly, what it does, it puts this little icon on every text area that you interact with, right?
Got it.
And that is exactly how it works. So this way, it works within Gutenberg on any type of block. It works within every page builder, and where you need it, it's there. And I think that's the real differentiator from needing to copy paste or needing to kind of log into different areas. This is happening where you're writing. And I think that's what Grammarly did for grammar collections compared to anything else that you would need to copy into like SaaS tools or like cloud-based applications, or even we used to do it in Word, right? You would write it and paste it back into Word in a Word document, get it sorted in there before Grammarly. So that's what we're doing for AI creation. We brought it to where you work.
So you interact with the Bertha icon, which floats within the text area that you're working in, be that in Gutenberg or Beaver Builder or
Every
Element or whatever. There it is. You click on it. What happens then? So let's say, for example, I'm just creating a blog post. I'm in my title section. So obviously in there, I want a very short piece of text, but then I'm going to click in a block and I'm going to create a couple of paragraphs and what have you. How do I tell Bertha, okay, this is a title, just give me, I don't know, 12 words or something like that, and this is a paragraph, make it feel energetic, give me some sort of sales copy, make it work for me, that kind of thing. How do we actually interact with it? What's going on? What buttons do we click, and so on?
So as soon as you click inside this text area and you have the little Bertha icon or her face, you just tap her face and the slide in comes in from the side, kind of like a floating sidebar that have loads of we call them like templates.
Yep.
Right, and they're not really templates in the form of that they are using the same type of content, but they are structured to churn out a certain type of structure to the content. And so then you can decide out of those 20 plus options in there which one fits what you're trying to write. And it's just going to give you 4 ideas for every type of thing. Now, the idea of what you feed into it, that happens even early on. So that's another cool thing that we did that doesn't happen on the market. Usually you need to input the data every time. You need to input the description every time that you want to write something. But because we're on the website itself, we just created this kind of like general settings or global settings area that you go through a wizard in the beginning that asks you like 4 simple questions, like the name of the brand, give us like 3 lines of description of what you do, what is the sentiment, like you're saying, what is the tone of voice, and even the tone of voice, that could be something like you're saying, it could be like innovative or salesy, if you will, or it can even be like in the voice of Arnold Schwarzenegger, stuff like that.
Or Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra's really cool.
Yeah,
it's crooning.
So once you got that thing in, all you got to do is just choose the template for the type of content that you want to do, and it's just going to give you ideas. As soon as you get the ideas in, you click any of them, and it's going to write it into the area where you started from. So it's kind of like a cool interface that you feel like Bertha is writing into the text area, because you see it happening in real time and you hear the clicking, the keyboard clicking in the background a little bit. You're literally allowing the AI to write into where you want, and then from there you can edit this, or you can add more stuff from other ideas and play around.
Do you get at that point? So let's say I'm creating my title. That's probably the easiest thing for us to parse at the minute. If I'm creating a title and I want it to be, let's say, a sales magnet type of thing, you tell it, okay, I want this to be promotional, salesy. Do you provide me with a range of different options? So in other words, will it say, here's 5, pick the one that you like best, and go with that one and edit it as you please?
Yeah, and the really, really neat thing about that is that it's not just the 5 titles or the 4 titles, but you can also generate new ideas as well. And say you saw a great title and you've continued to generate new ideas, and you think, oh, actually, I could use that one. You can go back into your history tab and hit the drop down of where you were generating that content, and it will produce the history. So recent history and long-term history. So even though you've generated a few thousand characters or a few thousand words, you can still go back into the history, and it all sits within your web page, and you can reuse and or repurpose that as well. So it doesn't just have to be in that particular blog post or that particular page. You can go back and say, well, I kind of wrote something similar. Let's see what was going on in the history tab.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's quite useful.
Yeah, the cost burden of this is on the moment the actual text is created, and from that moment, there's no cost to you of creating more if you're just looking through stuff you've already done. So you provide that in the history area.
Exactly.
And you just use that over and over again. Yeah, that's nice to know. I'm just going to read through the list. If you go to Bertha.ai and scroll down, I don't know, roughly halfway, you're going to get a list of the kinds of things that it can produce. There's 4 or 5 of these that are marked as premium, and there's a couple of them which are marked as coming soon. But just to give you a flavour of the different types of content that you can create, we've got options for unique value proposition, website subheading, section title generator, blurb generator, blog post topic ideas, blog post outline, blog post intro paragraphs, interesting, blog post conclusion paragraph, full-on blog post writer, button call to action, service product benefit list. I am going to keep going. Title to benefit sections, content rephraser, product service description. I'm nearly there. Full on about us page, personal bio or about me. Explain it to a child. That's interesting. Persuasive bullet points, SEO title tag, and SEO description tag. What a long laundry list. So really, you've covered all the bases. Couple of them coming soon, but all of them there, and a few of them marked as premium. But that's a lot.
There's a few more coming. There's like a workflow coming as well. So while we're developing this, we're getting lots of feedback from the people that have downloaded the free version, which you get 1,000 words a month. I mean, it's not just a trial; it's a total free version. So lots of people are suggesting things, and we'll be building some of them in, and maybe not building others in, but effectively it is designed for website builders or website people who are either using a website or they've built a website, and that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. Okay. So
and that's really the way that we structure this from the beginning, because the way that we decided on the template is literally going to the different pages of a standard website and looking at the different elements that you would find on every modern website, and said, all right, on the homepage, on the top area, on the hero section, right, you would need to have this unique selling proposition, this one-liner that differentiates and describes what you do. And so let's start with that. Then below that, you usually have a little tagline, a little sentence that expands on that unique USP, the unique selling proposition. So that's why there is this thing. Then you have those 3 icons, right, that you usually have that describe benefits or services. So you have a model for this, and so on and so on. So basically, if you just go through the list and just click each one of the templates as you're building the page, you're going to find that the order kind of matches the workflow that you already have when you're building the web page.
Yeah, got it. Makes perfect sense. I am curious. Obviously, you've done it because you're into websites and WordPress and all that. So it's a WordPress plugin, and it will try to assist you through the typical things that you need to create for a typical website.
Succeed.
Yes. I am also curious, though, as to whether or not there's something in the future for this where it might be something, let's say like a browser extension, like a Chrome extension or something like that, where there are a handful of people who they create their content in, let's say, Google Docs, and that's their preferred way of doing it. Do you have any plans like that? Does it work because of the nature of the fact that it's a bit like Grammarly, and we know that that's an extension in a browser? Are there any plans for that, or does it even work like that now?
There are plans to do a browser extension in the future. I think that because Andrew and I came from the WordPress space, this was such a natural place to start. But as you know, as Nathan, for both of from the other products that we've created, when we're starting, we're just starting. So there's a lot more things that are coming, a lot of ideas, and even more than that, a lot of user feedback, and and discussions that are happening inside our Facebook group, that in the designated Facebook group for Bertha, that we take into account, bring up in our meetings, and structure the roadmap. So we start here, but really the sky's the limit. And I always think that WordPress is a good place to get your hands dirty, if you will, because first of all, you're already covering 50+% of the market, right, with one go. So that's a great place to get started. And then keep expanding to wherever the needs come.
With the I know that we'll get into pricing in a minute and how all of that works, but is it possible for me, let's say I'm an agency owner and I've got 50 website clients, and they are all saying, well, we'd like a tool like this built into our website. Is something like that built into the product? Is it possible for me to install this on client websites so that I can assist them via my account, or do they have to sign up themselves?
Yeah, we actually encourage that. There is a plan that is designated for this with unlimited websites at the moment, as we're rolling this out, that allows you to install this on as many websites as you like. And we've already had a few agencies that what they did is they made this an add-on to their care plan. So you want the AI assistant, no problem. That's $20 more, right, or something like that. And then you can make a whole bunch of profit out of this compared to the unlimited package. If you have a lot of clients that require this service, or they want to interact with their own website, they have like shops with a lot of products, a LMS that needs descriptions for the courses or for the lessons, people that write blog posts for themselves. So there's a whole lot of use cases that happen within the WordPress space that agencies serve, and you can definitely do that through the unlimited plan.
Yeah,
you just have like as many websites as you want.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Okay, let's get into the tech then. So, first question is around what's actually being used to create this. We had a tiny chat around this just before we click record, but tell us what software is being used to do the magic when you click the button and it produces text as if by magic.
Andrew, do you want to take this? I'll take this.
Yeah, well, it's GPT-3, and it's the highest level of AI that you can get currently, and they're talking about GPT-4 as well, and obviously when that happens we'll upgrade. But the basis of it is that GPT-3 was an idea by, I think it's a Romanian guy, I can't remember actually, but financed by Elon Musk as well in the initial stages. And they effectively scanned 10% of the web up to 2019. So to kind of educate itself around what's been written, why it's been written, etc., etc. So that's billions of web pages since the beginning of internet time. And what that does is we know with artificial intelligence is really, really powerful, but it's only as powerful as the instructions to it. So these guys have spent gazillions of dollars making this system work. So we just plug into it with an API. We have there are certain restrictions actually. We are restricted on long form currently. We're on the wait list for long form, which is thousands of words per request. But the basis of it is that we can literally even add Facebook posting and Twitter posting, and if we want to go down the line of making images with AI, that is all possible with Bertha as well. So we're looking at all sorts of opportunities with that. But effectively, it's an open system that people can connect to, and we're lucky enough to have been accepted on it because they do it by business case as well.
Okay.
But it's effectively billions of words that have been scanned over time up to 2019, and from that. The API the GPT-3 has educated itself to speak in real words.
The thing about GPT-3 is I'm guessing that there was a GPT-2 and you mentioned a GPT-4. Does the GPT-3, a bit like WordPress 5 point something, it sort of goes over a period of time, it goes to 5.6, 5.7, and suddenly it's 6 one day. Does GPT-3 evolve over time, or is it fixed in what it can do, and then when 4 comes out, that'll be fixed? Or is it sort of slowly improving itself?
So
it's definitely improving itself. Go on, Vito.
So the way that the AI technology evolved over the past decade is really interesting because it started with really smaller pools of information that couldn't really execute on the same level as where the technology arrived just this past year. And it's really been a huge leap forward over the past year in terms of using these AI writing tools or generators, and that's why we see some of these all of a sudden become a thing, because the technology has caught up with the idea or with the concept. And just to give you kind of a frame of mind of what GPT-3 is compared to others that are out there. GPT-2, for example, or there's some open source tools that are out there. That Microsoft has their own thing. Google are working on their own thing. So let's say that Google's and Microsoft ones are trained on a number of words that is equivalent to the size of a coin, right? Mm-hmm. GPT-3 is equivalent to the size of an airplane compared to this. So the knowledge that was acquired into this one model is just mind-boggling. There's even a research that was made in this. Like, let's say that with the current internet speed that we have, even the top internet speed that we have, it would take more than 100 years to download this model, the GPT-3, if you would want to host it yourself, let's say. So like the magnitude of the knowledge that is accumulated into this one element is huge, and it's a massive leap forward compared to anything else. And the cool thing about technology, and we see that in other elements as well, and I'm not gonna speculate about the future, but looking at the past, what we've seen is that every time that there is a jump forward or a new version, it doesn't grow by like 10% more or 20% more. It grows by x's, like 10x more, 20x more compared to the previous versions. So in the upcoming few years, we're gonna see this becoming more proficient at speaking than myself learning English, not as a native language. So really, the sky is the limit with these tools and where this can go to. But even now, there's so many creative ways of utilizing this technology that it's really amazing.
The thing that I'm really curious about, and I really don't understand AI, to be honest. Not technically. I mean, I get anecdotally what it can do, but I'm just fascinated by the fact that this software obviously went around the internet and scraped all the text and then it did its AI magic. But the sort of the secret bit that I don't understand is how you can tell it to write you text about a particular subject, and it's then got the intelligence to do that without a great deal of information from you. So you provide it with a tiny bit, and it gives you back an absolute boatload in a matter of seconds. And that's the bit that I just don't understand. How has this been created? How has this knowledge been put into it? Because it's not like a human put the knowledge in. It acquired the knowledge all on its own.
Right.
Well, you give it prompts, basically. You say to the AI, we want you to write something around this, and those are the prompts. For instance, the unique sales proposition, the prompt basically says provide a unique sales proposition around the text supplied here, right? So, and that's what it does, because it knows what a USP is, or a unique sales proposition, and it will come up with something that is relevant to the prompt. And
really,
that's
this is
basically
where this is where it becomes a bit of an art, even, I would say, because I was the one in charge of writing those prompts and experimenting with these, and making sure that they execute on exactly what you want them to do. And it really is a bit of there's a bit of art to it, because you have to know what you want from it exactly. And I think that that coming from building 1,000 websites and working with thousands of agencies over the past few years, and just dealing with website copy for so many years, allowed me, when I was approaching this, to ask the AI in the right way, so it will provide me with the correct answer, if you will. Now, the cool thing in terms of how it generates the items back is that, and there's a lot of confusion there when it comes to, because people say that it scraped the internet, so that you feel like it's just going to give you blocks of text that it found somewhere else, right? But really, it operates more like a human brain. That is the difference between traditional coding and AI, because traditional coding is just going to search for the if and then, and just going to give you what it can find that qualifies under these rules, right? But with AI, it strings characters together, like we do. So when I speak and when I describe this to you, even though I might have said these words before in some way, it was never exactly the same, because I string thoughts together that come out of as characters out of my mouth to form words, to form sentences, and to form ideas. So it's not giving you full sentences. It's string one word or even parts of words together to create the answer, or to create that idea. And it rethinks itself every time that it goes to the next step, very much like a human mind would.
Yeah, it's curious. It's in philosophical terms, it strays into what's the so-called hard problem of consciousness. The idea that, right, it is clearly making things up that have never been written before, based upon things that have been written before. And it's just ingenious. And, right, and on some level, sort of slightly scary. We'll come to the scary bit in a minute. But for now, does it only work in English, or can you a variety of languages you could select for?
So it already works with 20 plus languages, right, Andrew?
Yeah, 27.
We tested for 27.
Yeah. We didn't test it on Russian.
Right, we need to test it on Russian as well. But most Latin-based languages, it will work out of the box. And all that people need to do is just write the description, the business description and the sentiment in their native language, and that will signal to the AI, all right, now I'm speaking French, or now I'm speaking German, and it will give you the results in that language. Okay. Even more than that, it was trained on every coding language in the world. So regardless to Bertha, just the concept of AI, because it's just really intriguing. It was trained on every language in the world, so every coding language. So not only in theory, but there are already some tools out there that give you the ability to write down, build, give me a React.js code that will execute this, right? And then it will give you the structure of that React code, because it knows how to write that in the same way that a developer learns how to write that.
Yeah. It really is truly mind-boggling. We could totally go off on a tangent here and spend the next 4 hours discussing the how this all works and what have you. But sadly, time is not allowing us to do that. Do you recommend rereading what Bertha creates? Let's say, for example, I've created 2 or 3 paragraphs, and typically I've been very happy with what it's created. Is it always a good idea to check this stuff through? Have you noticed some clangers dropping in there, some weird vocabulary that you think, actually, you know what, I'll change that word out? Is it good practice to check it, basically?
Yes, definitely. But sometimes you will notice that it creates another name for your business or something. But that's because it's trying to say, XYZ blog is this. So yeah, it's always best to check your content. You would, Bertha is a writing assistant. Bertha's not going to do everything for you. And when even when you go out to a copywriter or a VA to say, okay, write this product description, there will be issues with errors or a bit of grammar or something like that. But grammar is not the right one, but certainly not, you won't get spelling mistakes and you won't get grammatical errors, but you may see some context issues around there, but only you as a human being can read it as a human being. So yeah, it's always best to check your copy, just as if in fact you were writing a blog post or a Facebook ad yourself. And you know this, Nathan, as well as anybody, that sometimes there's a typo there, isn't there? Or a little bit of context missing. So yeah, always check your text. I mean, even if you're writing it yourself, you've got to reread it. I've written hundreds, thousands of blog posts these days, and yeah, I wish I could say that they were error-free, but they weren't. So yeah, always check it.
I was going to ask a question about, does it get in the way and can you switch it off getting in the way? But it sounds like the implementation you've got, the sort of Grammarly-esque thing, means that unless you invoke it, it's not going to be getting in your way. So you can basically switch the plugin on, leave it on, and it'll only get in your way when you choose for it to get in the way. So that deals with that one. You mentioned, I can't remember if it was Andrew or Vito, but one of you mentioned that in the future, or maybe even now, it's possible to do alternative things. And I was thinking about things like, would it be something that's possible now or in the future to say to Bertha, I would like a picture of a red flower on the grass being, I don't know, with a dog in the background. A totally random picture that would be. But is there a future in which that's possible? It could create things like images. It could create voice text. So, it could literally create a podcast episode for you based upon what you initially told it to do. Is that the kind of future 100%. We're looking at?
100%. I would even take this even further and say, build me a business website for a dog groomer, and you have it. It's definitely going there. It's not there yet, but you can see already implementations of AI using the same engines to generate images. And when you look at the image, you can see, you can say, create an image of a chair that has a purple background or that is fluffy, right? Or something like that, really in your own words. And it will try to create something that is similar to that. And it will look like it. It won't, it's going to look more of a cartoon at this stage, or more like a watercolor type of painting, if you will. It's not going to look like hyper realistic or anything, but it's definitely rivaling the impressionists paintings of back in the day. So that's where it is right now. But I'm sure that in a few years' time, it's going to give us like hyper realism in images, as well as creating a whole bunch of stuff. Everything that people are doing right now that is just like legwork is going to be automated. And I think a lot of people are gonna go with this the South Park meme. They took our gerbs, right? But really, what I think is gonna stay is the creativity, because that is, or at least from the future that I'm seeing right now, this is still not gonna be 100%. So even if you ask it to create a website, adding that layer of humanity into it is gonna be something that a human will have to do. Or create, give me sketches for a 20 stories building. Give me blueprints for a 20 stories building, and it can create that, but it won't create a beautiful building that humans can build. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's just so fascinating. I'm going to ask the next set of questions, and I want you to both answer them, if that's all right. So we'll take it in turns, because I want to get your take on both of it. Firstly, Andrew. And I'll do the same question to Vito when Andrew's finished, is how good is this text that's created. The only, I confess that I've not really interacted with this a lot, but the brief things that I've interacted with, when I've learned what the input was and then what the output was, I was like jaw on the floor, kind of, how the heck did we get here? You know, this is unbelievably clever. And I was just wondering what your thoughts were on just how good the GPT-3 model that Bertha uses is.
I think that straight away you can just go to Bertha.ai, and the homepage and all the pages and pretty much all the blog posts, which there, I think there's half a dozen there, were, let's just say, 90% written by Bertha from clues that we gave her. And that's it. You know, literally everything on the homepage was written by Bertha.
Yeah.
So the output is pretty good, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's and I've written blog posts on my own thisisandrewpalmer.com blog with Bertha, and I've written a few blog posts for clients as well, just to show them the benefit of having Bertha, and blew their heads off. I mean, they immediately signed up and said, "Yep, I want it."
Yeah.
You know?
So
that's the beauty of it. It really is so easy to. I was showing a web developer. I did a little Q&A with a web developer only yesterday morning, and his head was blown off. He just said, "My God, I can't. That's unbelievable." Because, you know, if you learn to use Bertha properly, Bertha will if you learn to love Bertha, Bertha will love you back. That's the key, basically. It's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. And Vito, same question. Just how good, and it really what I'm trying to ask is how impressed are you by it? You know, what's your actual take on it?
So it took some time for the prompts to give us these impressive results that we're getting now. So when it comes to GPT-3, again, it's like you can imagine this like a 10-year-old that knows, like, you know, like a clairvoyant 10-year-old. He knows everything, but he doesn't know how to express it unless you ask the right question and pull this information out of them. And so that is really the technique that I had to play with for a couple of months after the initial research, to just get it to a place where it's giving us these really, like you're saying, it's jaw-dropping. And if you want to ask how good is it, it's better than you. You know, no matter who you are.
Me in particular, yeah.
No matter who you are, you know, like, so, like, we're using this now for everything within Atarim as well. Like, there is no reason to think of an idea or to break your head with the question of, is this a good idea? Is this not? As opposed to looking at pre-created or uniquely created ideas that were generated specifically for you and saying, yes, I like this. This gave me chills, you know? And because if you think of something, you have that emotional attachment to it, that you think, okay, you know, my beep smells of roses, right? But when you read someone else's content, when you read someone else's text, then you're a lot more critical about it. And so when you're, just as an exercise, giving Bertha the ability to create a unique selling proposition for the business that you already have, for your podcast, Nathan. Let's do one for your podcast right now, and it's gonna blow your mind in a second. So as you guys are going to the next question, I'm going to open this up in the background.
Okay, that's an interesting experiment. Okay, so the next question then, whilst Vito taps away and endeavours to get something which we'll all listen to in a minute, I will ask Andrew the following question, and we're kind of straying into the sort of the philosophy of this and the dystopian vision that might be something in the future. I'm just kind of concerned that maybe if everybody starts doing this, we've already got an internet which is there's too much out there already for us to consume. You know, there's endless amounts of things that we don't have time for already. And the concern that I have is that with all of this technology around the corner, we'll have people in a matter of seconds creating 10,000 word articles, publishing them without the desire to go back and edit them and actually make them meaningful, literally just getting the AI to create the content as an SEO grab. Basically, okay, my website has 500,000 10,000 word articles, And the concern would be that who's going to read this stuff? And are we creating a mess for ourselves and just over polluting what's already an over polluted internet?
Well, the short answer is yes, that could be possible. But there's other AI text generators out there, and a lot of people are writing books with them. They're writing e-books, which you can do with Bertha as well, depending on your word count limit. And it does seem that there's a lot of people out there writing these 10,000 word blog posts for no apparent reason other than to write 10,000 word blog posts and hope that Google and others pick it up. But if you use these tools sensibly, and I put those in inverted commas, you're always going to get the bad apples, aren't you? You're always going to get the people saying, right, okay, I've got this and I'm paying a couple of $100 a month for it. I'm going to write as much as I possibly can around this subject and hopefully get, good positions in the search engines. The reason for Bertha existing actually is to help. Vito and I have got the same philosophy with website builds and websites in general, is getting content into your website. It's the most important thing. It helps developers develop faster, make more money, because they can develop more websites in less time. Bertha is similar to that, but it also helps the website owner when they're stuck. And let's face it, copywriting can be expensive, and it can also be cheap. If you go to Fiverr or something, you can get someone to write a page of content for $10 or $20. But I happen to use a really good guy, Randy, who is always $300 for an article, and that's the right price, because he does his research, he gets it on there, gets all the images there. But if you're using Bertha to write a new blog post about a new product or a new service or your business or anything that you're interested in, it's a quick way to get great content with little effort, basically. And that's the key. I'm not really worried about the dystopian aspect of it. I think that we've all had to learn. I've got a vehicle that drives itself. I'm lucky enough to have an electric vehicle, and in the UK that's quite appropriate at the moment because we've got no fuel. But I turn on autopilot and I don't have to worry about crashing into the car in front generally. So AI and computerized technology, people were worried about the mobile phone, weren't they, when it came out, and worried about Nest and all these and Alexa, always concerned about those kind of things. And I think you have to keep an eye on the real world and say, what do I actually need this for, and I'm going to use it properly. And that and our terms and conditions actually say that, use it properly. There's a fair use disclaimer in there, and we just want people to use it in a fair and proper way.
Yeah, I guess like any technology, there's going to be people who abuse it, and let's hope that those people who are not abusing it rise to the top. I am interested.
Well, I'm ready.
Yeah,
actually.
You're ready.
Yeah, I've been. I was ready in like a few sentences after Andrew started.
Okay.
Yeah, go on, Andrew. Go on, Nathan.
No. I think it's over to you, Vito. So tell us first of all, tell us what you actually put in and under what conditions and so on, and then give us it. Let's hear it.
So there's some cool stuff here. So I wrote the brand name WP Builds, company description. I just took the first description that you have on your website. WordPress podcast packed full of things that you either don't want to know or are clever enough to work out that we just made up. Right? Ideal customer, WordPress agencies and freelancers. I think that's your target audience. Yep. And tone of voice, smart, or I should have said like clever or something like that, because that's your kind of like sentiment, I would say.
Okay.
And then it gave me all kinds of variations, right? So it starts from basic ones like we are the fastest growing WordPress podcast, or the premier WordPress podcast and community, the best way to learn WordPress. And then it went into some really interesting stuff like the only WordPress podcast that takes over a week to produce.
That's genius. It's about right as well.
What else we have here? The best WP podcast. And he knew to say WP.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
A WordPress podcast packed full of things that you either don't want or clever enough. So you took like something that you already wrote from there. The podcast for developers who don't know they need a podcast. Um, there's one says that it's just better. That's it. That's what it's just better. This one is, I think you'd like this one. The greatest and least respected podcast.
I love it. What's really fascinating is it's totally taken in. Obviously, I've got that self-deprecating thing on the front page. I can't remember what the word is. Yeah, you either you already know that it's rubbish or it's no good, something along those lines. But it's figured that out and it's made that a part of it. And I don't know if humor is an element of its capabilities, but it's given us back things which we're chuckling about, which is actually exactly what I would want.
Right. So, and
Well,
that's the
why don't
response
you-
that's the response that you would want. And now you see what I mean when you write something yourself. So you're kind of like, you might, chuckle to yourself, but you kind of feel that it's good because you did it.
Yeah.
But you don't know if it's good because you never read it as a third party.
Yeah.
But when you're seeing it written down and you just need to choose out of this, maybe world's first podcast about WordPress is the sentiment that you want to use, which is one of the options here. But maybe the funnier ones is what you want to write. The podcast for developers who don't know they need a podcast. That's
for me, it's more that I've just, it's given me things which I actually think are quite funny. And obviously I could just push those to one side. No, I don't want this to be funny. I want to step away from it being funny. I want it to be deadly serious. And it's given you those as well. It's really
and
fascinating.
That's just based on the input.
Which was very minimal. You hardly gave it anything there. Andrew, it felt like you wanted to...
Well, no, I'm just saying, Nathan, sign up and get the free version. I'll add 5,000 words to you, so you won't be limited to 1,000. You can have a good old play with it.
Oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to be so much.
Just sign up. I'll know you've signed up, and then I'll just I'll give you some words to play with.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's great. That honestly is really interesting to me. I'm keen to see what the sort of longer form bits will look like when they come out. And obviously, you described that you're waiting for that to head around the future. Here's a question. We were talking a minute ago about the fact that you can produce these 10,000 word articles. And at the minute, everybody, like me, if I want to go and find something in authority, my first port of call is Google. And I'm just wondering, maybe you don't know the answer to this, but I'm wondering if Google is interested in filtering out the noise on the internet. In other words, I wonder if GPT-3 has some sort of signature in it, has some way that Google, with its amazing capabilities, can figure out, do you know what? This has clearly been written by a robot. We're going to downrank it. Or whether that's even a thing their search team are looking at. We don't want AI-only content. We want content written by humans and a content that's been thought about by an AI but then tweaked into something better by a human. I don't know if any of that kind of stuff is going on in the AI scene, whether people are talking about this stuff.
There are discussions around this. I would start by saying that from the platform itself, from GPT-3, there are guidelines that restrict you from going down this route. They're super ethical about the use of it, and I like that. I think that this is a smart move. I think that you guys were talking about this while I was playing around with the tool here, but. So, for example, you have to have, in order for us to be approved, if you will, there has to be a step that a human interacts with it, right? It can't be fully automated. They won't allow you to be fully automated. And that is from that point of view, because they don't want you to do all kinds of, like spam stuff. It has to be like some kind of a human interacting with it in a certain way, and you have to describe exactly what, and then they decide if this is good enough or you need to add another human element to it. For example, you choose the templates, you have a bunch of ideas, and out of the ideas you choose the one that makes sense, that resonates with you. So a human decision process is in the game. From the point of view of Google, I know that they are I would say maybe feel threatened by this, but like you can pay for a tool that will do this as an assistant. It's something that helps you. Or I remember that 15 years ago, I used to go to Upwork, and that 15 years ago was the era in WordPress of those niche websites, right, for AdWords.
Yeah, yeah.
AdSense,
Yeah.
for AdSense. So I would go to Upwork, freelance it was called at the time, and I would pay someone $20 an article to write an article that I never read. I just posted in. So what is the real difference between the two?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the way I see it. In terms of if they can recognize it, I don't see how they would, because it doesn't take blocks. It just strings ideas together like humans would.
Yep.
So there is really no way of differentiating this. What they can do, and like they did now with referral tags just a couple of weeks ago, I think, they now require you to add, if you have a link that is sending to some kind of an affiliate link, you have to have a tag, like a ref tag, right, attached to this, so that Google knows to identify this as a promotional link, and then decrease its SEO juice, if you will.
Yeah.
So maybe that is something that they will require in the future, but I just see this as the next step, and as another way of automating something that people have already been automating or outsourcing. It's only that now you're not outsourcing this to a third world country or some kind of an intern. You're outsourcing this to a software. So what is the difference?
The thing which everybody wants to know, I suppose, is to be found over at Bertha.ai/pricing. Andrew, do you want to just talk us through the pricing model, what the tiers are, and what you get for your money?
Well, I like the way we've done the pricing, because it's fair, and let's face it costs us when we generate the AI content for you. The biggest thing I think is unlimited users on every pack. When you're looking at other suppliers out there or other people that are doing this kind of thing, you can pay up to $50 per user. $30 a month is for the website owner. Single website, 20,000 words a month. That's pretty much enough. And obviously we offer a 14-day money back guarantee. People haven't asked for that yet, so we're all good with that. The multi-biz is for, let's say a freelancer. One of my nephews is a great SEO guy, and it's perfect for him because he can have up to 3 websites. He only ever does 3 websites in a quarter to do the SEO on, so that's perfect for him. And then obviously the Pro Unlimited, and I'm looking at the monthly at the moment, $99 a month. Again, unlimited users, unlimited websites, and 500,000 words a month can be generated. And obviously you get priority support on that if you need it. And again, the 14 days money back guarantee. And if you go to the yearly, you'll get 2 months free. Basically, that's what it works out. But I mean, the key area here is the unlimited users, and on Pro Unlimited websites. So that's great for agencies like you, or you want to use it on your customers. But don't forget, Nathan, we have an affiliate program as well. So if you don't want to manage the Bertha situation on websites, or customers don't want it as an extra on your care plan, then obviously throw them an affiliate link, and you'll get payment every month per customer. So it's pretty cool.
Nice. So just to reiterate, Bertha.ai/pricing, $30 a month gets you a single website, 20,000 words a month. $70 a month gets you 3 websites, $60,000 a month. And then it really takes a big leap. So you're paying an extra $29, so you're up to $99. And you go from 60,000 words to 500,000 words. So that's a really, really interesting set of pricing. $70, $99. If you just going over your 60,000 word limit, get the $99 one, because that seems to be
and
really
it's not
great
per
value.
website. It's for the it's that 500,000 words per month
Across
over
the account.
all the websites that you've got on it across the account.
Yeah, that is a boatload of words when you actually think
Isn't
about
it,
it. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
The questions
And of
from
course,
my
there's
end.
the free plan. So if people want to play around and check this out, just come on in, download it for free.
Okay.
And you get 1,000 words every single month.
Okay, that's great. I've done all my questions. I don't know if I've missed anything out, but that was everything I wanted to ask. Just maybe go to Andrew first and then to Vito. Tell us, if people want to reach out to you about this project in particular, what's the best way to do that?
Well, you can go to the Bertha.ai Facebook group, so search that. It's got a page as well, and Bertha.ai _ is on Twitter, or you can get me on @ArniePalmer on Twitter.
Good. And Vito?
Yeah, same thing. Come and join our community on Facebook. People are sharing ideas, questions, what they want to see from the product, especially as we're rolling this out. Customer feedback makes a huge difference. So if you want to influence the tool, now is the best time to do that. In the Facebook group, and as well, you can find me on Twitter on Vito Peleg.
Thank you very much. And in the mic drop moment of the entire podcast series that I've ever produced, I'm going to tell you that none of this ever happened. We are all AI. And on that bombshell, I'll say bye-bye, Andrew Palmer, and bye-bye, Vito Peleg.
Bye.
Thanks, Nathan. See you soon.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Very nice chatting to Andrew and Vito all about Bertha.ai and how the artificial intelligence can help you in your writing process right inside of WordPress. If you've got any comments about it, please leave them on the post on the wpbuilds.com website. You're looking for episode number 254. Alternatively, wpbuilds.com/Facebook if you'd like to join our Facebook group. And as always, we'll post a thread on there as well. Okay, just one more reminder, if you're into the Black Friday thing, wpbuilds.com/black, a searchable, filterable list of loads and loads of deals. Check that out. You might be able to make use of it. And I will see you next week. Perhaps I'll see you on Monday for the This Week in WordPress show. You never know. If not, we'll be back in a week's time. I'm going to fade in some cheesy music and say bye-bye for now.